Welcome to the Spice of Life podcast, where we take bold risks, build real wealth, and use money as a tool for freedom and legacy. I'm Luke Spicer, and each week we uncover the principles of ownership, independence, to business and life. Whether you're an investor, entrepreneur, or tradesperson, this show is about creating freedom today and legacy for tomorrow. Hey everybody, welcome to the Spicer Life podcast. I'm your host, Luke Spicer. Today on the show, we've got Pamela Knight, a longtime client of mine who's out in Ontario doing Pilates and instructing. Pamela, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Luke.
Yeah, all the times we've talked on Zoom, and I just noticed it. I think, are you sitting on one of those Bosu balls right now? I think.
Yeah, I'm on a stability ball.
Okay. I think you've been on one of those balls before when we've talked and moving around or whatever, but I've never actually seen all your Pilates apparatus in the background. You're normally in another room in your office when we've talked before, like maybe just your office.
Yeah. So this is the space that I spend most of my time in, and yeah, we see a lot of private Pilates clients in here on the classical equipment, which a lot of people still don't even know what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's like seeing those things hanging up in the background. It could look like it's a very different room that you're in, but I know that it's a Pilates room and and those are just things. My wife got a Pilates machine. It's a small, like portable one, and we have it set up and our girls use it a lot now. Or one of them for sure. She likes to go use it and move around. They're kind of neat.
Yeah, it looks like almost like a medieval torture chamber in here, but you can
Yeah.
see there's stuff hanging on springs, and a lot of these tables function on spring-loaded resistance, and they help people with proper body alignment and helping you stretch and gain a little bit of tone and strength at the same time.
Yeah. So how long have you instructed Pilates?
I would say I registered the business in 2002, but I've been teaching probably since 2000. And then prior to that, just in like the whole fitness world, doing personal training and teaching regular type fitness classes that you'd see going on at a gym and doing personal training and stuff like that.
So training and fitness has just always been your jam, what you've done? What
Yeah.
made what made you start in with Pilates then versus traditional gym training?
I would say like it was kind of an evolution. So, in the fitness realm and then kind of stepped into the corporate health and wellness arena. And then once I worked for a large corporation, I was actually out west there in Calgary for a number of years. And I helped run a health and wellness program. And then once I was laid off from the company, I just embarked on different things like doing yoga, and then yoga led me into Pilates, and it just all kind of came together from there.
And you just fell in love with Pilates and was like and just decided that you wanted to go down that path? Is that what happened?
I actually didn't like Pilates at all.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing, but it led me to want to understand it better. So, as I did some Pilates training with different people, and I just didn't get it. I didn't understand the lingo. I didn't understand what they were asking me to do with my body doing Pilates, and it actually really frustrated me. And, so it just kind of pushed me to keep looking into it a little bit more. And then once I started understanding, how it really gets you executing movement, and isolating different joint mechanics, and then also creating different mobility through your spine that you wouldn't necessarily learn about in general fitness. It just all the little pieces started coming together, and then it took me a while before I actually did fall in love with it. So I would say I'm one of the kind of early adopters of this type of method, and then once I embarked on the training, I just kind of went from there.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, that's cool. And so then you only did that for a couple years, and then you launched your own. So basically, you dabbled with it and worked out the frustrations, but then after a couple years, you decided like you, that's when you fell in love with it then and wanted to launch your own business. Is that kind of what happened? Like, what pushed you over the edge to wanting to do this as a business? I guess.
Yeah, it just seemed like there was more and more to understand about this method of training. So I would say like it took me a good 3 years to do all the training and understand how to work on all the apparatus. And then, once I finished that, I just figured this is what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life because I saw that it helped so many people. So it can help anyone from, say, like, if they need, like, physiotherapy type work done or, preventative injury work or, just general population that wants to gain a little bit more flexibility and strength, um, in a different way, of course, than lifting weights. Yeah, I felt like it was the way to go because it was unique and it just seemed to address so many people's concerns.
Right. Yeah. And you've seen a lot of like people get over injuries and mobility issues and stuff from using the apparatuses and stuff, I assume, and people are moving better and have that mobility. I know it's funny as I talk to a lot of friends of mine that are, similar age that have been fighting as long as I fought. And then now that we're older, um we've done different things like yoga and things, and I'm like, "Man, I wish we appreciated yoga and stretching when we were younger because it sure would have impacted our careers in a much better way," because, like, none of us were like, "I'm not going to yoga, that's stupid, like, why would I do that?" And then you realize you're like, "Oh, wait, actually, I can stretch, I can kick," and, like, I understood the idea of, like, stretching, but then going to, like, a yoga class seemed, like, so foreign and weird, and then, yeah, I wish I would have really grasped that. Even in my weight training, like since I retired from fighting, I was going to the gym quite a bit and lifting heavy weight and one of my longtime trainers had set me up with this program and he added in 2 days of mobility. So it was like I was at the gym for like 45 minutes, like foam rolling and stretching, and then I had to row on the rowing machine for like 30-20 minutes or something like that. And that was like the workout part of the day. And but I would find myself, like, sweating from doing the proper, like, stretching because he would, like, want me to hold it for, like, do the motion, the movement in some stretch for, a minute or 2, right? And, like, timing things. So I was going through, like, maybe I was doing arm circles or whatever. But I I'd asked him, I said, "So wait, on these days, do I still get to eat the extra food like I did my workout?" He's like, "Yeah, you're food motivated. So yes, if you do the full stretch routine, you get to eat the added food." So I was like, "Well, this is awesome. I'm gonna go do it for sure." And then my mobility was like through the roof. I was stronger, I could lift heavier the other days because I wasn't impacted by anything, and I realized that, I was like, "Wow, what a dumbass for not ever just incorporating that in daily, like, only doing it when I'm injured versus, like, as a proactive approach to it," right, for longevity, and I assume that's a big part of what you notice in yourself and clients, right?
Yeah, for sure. And you just said it perfectly. Like, people don't realize that when you have better range of motion in your body, you're actually stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, night when I, yeah, people at the gym that are all muscled up and they have very poor range of motion in their torso or their shoulders or their hips. Yeah, physically they look like they're a large, strong person, but they're actually not.
No. No, and you see that often, especially in the fight world. You kinda see these people that are really big, and and a lot of people are, they're intimidated by really big people, but once you really, I mean, and not to say that they're all like that. There's some big people that have great mobility and actually can fight really well. So it's like that most of them are fairly harmless when you put them in there with somebody that's much smaller that can move and be more agile, right? I mean, I've saw that. I was always pretty big in my fight career, but fighting, like, smaller opponents, like sparring and training partners and stuff like that, and the way that they could move and get in and out and away from things, it was like, "Oh, man, I wish I could move like that, a little bit bouncier, you know, and then truthfully, you can as a big person, you just have to be able to, like, get your mobility going and yeah, so
Yeah.
when you started your business, was it like a evolution for you to, like, go in, or was it a bit of a bold risk where you're like, "I've gotta do this?"
Yeah, I would say, like, when I worked in the corporate health and wellness, that was my full-time gig, but then I always, taught fitness classes outside of work every day. So, I always liked having that extra thing on the side. So then when I eventually got laid off, it was a big tech company back in the day. And, yeah, I just kind of naturally wanted to do what I love, and it was in that fitness realm. So, I wouldn't say it was like a huge risk. It was kind of one of those things I always had one foot in, so it didn't seem that scary. I just remember we were, all sitting at a boardroom table, all the people that had been laid off around the same time as me. So it was, people from different departments, manufacturing or, from the finance office or whatever parts of the company. And they were helping us rewrite our resumes so we could get back out there and find jobs. And they were going around the table and they were asking everybody, what do you want to do? Like, what's your next steps kind of thing. By the time it got to me, I just had this huge epiphany and I said, I actually don't think I want to work for anybody ever again. So
Right.
when we took the break at lunchtime that day, I just excused myself and I said, I don't think I'll be back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just like that, and I never really looked back, and
So just to back up for a second, you got laid off with a company, and then the company still was going to just help you guys, like, get reintegrated into, like, the workforce somewhere else?
yeah.
That's a pretty solid company then. Like, I don't know the story, and I mean, whatever, like, being laid off or downsizing or whatever, but the fact like, to try to help people transition, that says a lot about a company, I think, like, without knowing all the story. And so then while everybody else was, like, I'm assuming kind of, like, stressed about what's next or what they're gonna do for their life and their career, and, like, if they especially if they've worked there, you had an epiphany moment where you're like, "I don't wanna be here." That was the moment that changed for you then, where you said, like, "I'm gonna go figure this out on my own."
Exactly, yeah, it was really interesting because there was some people that were just breaking down in tears at that table, and they're like, "All I want is my old job back."
Right.
And, a really hard time, like, well, obviously, they'd been with the company a lot longer than what I had. But I just I was looking at everything as it played out, and I was thinking, I would never want this to happen to me again. So, it's like, yeah, I could go find, another job with a corporation, and I don't know, it just felt like it would, be the same story over and over again. Like, it
Yeah.
seemed like the world even back then was changing, like, nothing was secure anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's true, I kinda did the opposite, right? I mean, I mean, I worked for somebody right out of high school, then I started my business, like, 4 years out of high school and ran that company for 20 years, and then now I work for somebody else, like, that's the kind of the crazy thing is, like, wait, I'm not an employee because 'cause I'm still own my own business and I still get to do make a lot of my own decisions, but because I'm part of an organization and yes, I'm in sales and I have my own clients and relationships, I still have to do certain things, like, by the company protocol, but, um, I quite enjoy it because I actually don't have a lot of the same, stresses that I used to have running a business. There's different stresses being an employee, like in that regard, but, yeah, so I can appreciate why you would feel that way. It's like going off on your own and not having that. There's I'm constantly amazed at how comfortable people feel being employed, where they feel like it's security, where it's really not. Like, because just the the stuff way out of your control could just be gone, and you could be out of a job because any number of things happen that had nothing to do with you as an employee or whatever that could change, which is why I've always been conscious even as I'm working. I'm like, "Okay, well, I've got other things that are, happening as well so that I have fallback plans and things like that if I need to transition, if something were to change within the organization." It's such a strong company that I don't see anything like that happening, where I'm at because, like, we really everybody loves what they do there, so, how long how long after you decide like, from that boardroom meeting to when you launched what you have, how long was that? Was it fairly quick?
Um, yeah, so I still kept teaching, regular fitness classes after that, but then to embark more on the Pilates training, I had, like, a nice severance package, so I actually took a whole year off, and then I moved, back to Ontario, and then that's
Okay.
where I started finishing up the rest of the, Pilates training.
Okay. Right, and so that's nice to have that package and to go and to, do that. I've talked to a few different people that have been in similar situations as you and, gone off and done something. And then it's unfortunate because I also know some that squandered that year, and then they're back working for somebody else with no money. They just, like, took a year off to do nothing, and, like, then years later, they're miserable because they were miserable when they were working for somebody, and I'm like, "Why didn't you take that opportunity that was gifted to you to, like, build something that you always wanted to do?" You know?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. Yeah, that's how I saw it. It was a great opportunity. And then instead of opening my own business right away, I actually went and helped a young woman. She was opening a studio in Guelph. And so I became one of her main teachers in her first few years that she opened. So that kind of gave me a little bit of insight too as to what to do to open one of these types of studios. Hers was more focused on like group training. But yeah, it was a really great experience to do work with somebody else that was kind of launching themselves for the first
Mhm.
time. And then after I, felt like I did my time there, then I opened my very first studio in my living room in Mississauga. So that was, you know, I guess a pretty safe way to start.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, home home-based businesses can be often easier ways to ease into that, even from a trades perspective. I mean, my first shop was just my garage, right? So it was like, and then we were there for 4 years, and then we expanded out to the country where we had 2,400 square foot shop and a huge yard, and never kind of looked back, and we outgrew it eventually too, but it was, that was when then the business started to downsize instead, and I, went off another way. So you're in a new like, how long have you been in your current, building now?
So this studio, I would say, is studio number, just let me think here. One, two, three, four. I think this is my fifth or sixth location.
Oh, well.
So this office that I moved into in 2022 during the pandemic, because of
Mhm.
course businesses like mine were kind of forced to close. So I had a large group location where I had multiple tables of the ones that you see in the background. But because we weren't deemed essential, we had to close.
Right.
And I sold off all of my apparatus, and then in the meantime, we also teamed up with a, physiotherapy company that operates out of Toronto.
Okay.
So, in that regards, we had, like, a nice little situation where, people that have health benefits could be assessed by a registered physiotherapist who was working hand in hand with me, and then, they would let me do all of the treatments, with the person.
Okay.
So is able to reopen just under, say, like a Pilates physiotherapy type program.
Right, so then it became, essential again.
It became
Before
essential,
right.
and yeah, so I've been in this little office, yeah, just for the last few years.
Okay. Yeah, and so you just have the one room where you are for your individual training, and that's what you do, you just have one person at a time that you coach and work with, and then they leave and somebody else comes in, and so you could do that during the COVID time because everybody was individually assessed, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then of course, like if some people don't have health benefits, they can still come for private lessons here. And then what we actually started up a couple weeks ago is a dance studio that I take lessons at. It's in an old church just on the other side of our river here in the downtown. And so I started up 4 group classes there. So I'm taking about 12 people in each class. And it was just like a nice way to start bringing people back together again in a
Right.
group. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now and sorry, you're doing, like, a group, like, fitness class over there?
It's a Pilates
Oh.
class. So some of the Pilates equipment, there's like small apparatus, and that
Mhm.
of course there's the large apparatus. So I just put some money out to buy some of the smaller pieces, so I can use those to teach with at the
So
class.
you just take them over there and then do the thing, and then okay, that's pretty neat. And so then now that's, I mean, I assume like anything then, right? Like a Pilates individual, one-on-one hour time is probably a larger investment for somebody than taking group classes because now you can target many people at the same time, and that's, you know, many benefits. One, it gives them a better price point, but it's probably better for you every hour that you're teaching a larger class than one-on-one. So it's like good for everybody. I know that with group training and stuff, right? The coaches and stuff tend to like it, for different reasons, right? Because they can hit more people and, you know, make a bigger impact.
Works well too because, instead of signing like a second lease over there and just doing a percentage split with the owner, that works out, nicely for both of us, really.
Mhm.
And then that way, if I run like a few sessions, say like a fall, winter, and spring, then that way I won't have to commit to any through the summer when I don't want to be working as much.
Right, well, and summer classes are often not as busy anyway. There's too many people that are doing different, family activities or are gone for the summer or whatever. So then it just makes good business sense to, have the classes when people are more likely to take them. Right? And then the individual ones, they probably do, you know, consistently, especially if it's an injury or something working through from, a medical thing they would want to go through because they're not enjoying their time if they're not moving properly with mobility. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's working out really well, and it's just so nice to have people coming together in a group format because, even, back through all that weird, pandemic time, it's like there's still people that aren't comfortable with coming together with, a number of people. So it's once I put it out there that I'd be teaching a group again, there was such a great response. So some of my old clients from when I had the bigger studio and people that were just kind of waiting on the sidelines to come back again. So it's been really great.
so that was and how long have you been doing that then? Not long.
I'm in my 3rd week. So
Oh, wow, just new. Okay.
yeah, the first run of this is like a 10-week program. So yeah, we're in week 3, and yeah, it just feels really positive.
Yeah, and do you do a couple sessions a week? Is it 1 a week? What are you running?
I started off with 4 sessions a week. So, and it was kind of a nice idea because I felt like I was really getting stagnated in here, in the smaller office, and I was, just seeing people back to back from say like 7:30 in the morning, sometimes all the way through to like 5 or 6 in the evening. So now I can, like, cut things a little short here and then have a break and then head over and teach a group, and it just kinda spices things up a little bit more.
Yeah. Of course it would because and it has a much different energy with a group and, I'm assuming, like, louder, just more energetic, more movement, and they're coming um fitness and wellness, not I mean, obviously, the wellness is still part of, like, rehab, but training people for, like, a rehab, um, session would be very different than training people for, like, health and vibration, like, vitality and movement, and I'm assuming, right? It would be a very different pace for those classes than what you go through on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, I would say that they get more movement within an hour because they're having to just follow like the whole program. Whereas if someone comes into the studio, they might walk in the door and they'll say, "Oh, my low back really hurts me today." So, you might do a little bit of assessment and maybe you'll get through like 4 or 5 exercises depending on what their pain level is. So, it is, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see we have there's a Pilates place here in town that, like, I always think about, and it's, like, a lot it's just, like, it's group classes, and I'm assuming, like, I've never went there, but just knowing some of the people that go and the owners, it's, like, more of that, like, probably what your original studio was like with lots of full apparatuses and classes and stuff going and training and, like, almost like a hard training where they're, like, coming out feeling like, "Whoa, I got, like, a crazy workout," not I got some mobility back in my body, right? So
That's a really good point. So I would say, like, we have some of those type of places here in our city too, and, they're definitely more fitness orientated classes. Um, yeah, I wouldn't say that they're, like, focused on any technique per se. They're just leading people through kinda that monkey see, monkey do kind of idea.
oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, like moving your body, you're gonna sweat. It's kind of like I've always thought that, like, when I see it always irked me, when I see these gyms that teach, like, boxing or kickboxercise kind of type classes, and I'm like, the technique is horrible, and it makes me angry to an extent, and then people be like, "Oh, like, but they're moving their body and it's fun," and I'm like, "I know, but they could still move their body properly, like, and then it would be fun and functional instead of just like, if I wave my arms around like this, I'm gonna sweat if I do it long enough. It doesn't mean that it's gonna do anything. So just because 'cause I'm sweating doesn't mean it's good, right? So it's kind of probably similar, right? It's just like just moving and yeah, you load up the springs and you move your body a bunch, you're gonna get a workout in, but it's like, is it doing anything functionally for you, you know?
I would say that's a great word, whether it's functional and what I usually say to people too, what we're doing is more results orientated.
Mhm.
Whereas like a fitness class, it is you just go and you move your body and you try and get a workout and make your abs feel sore or something like that. That's not the purpose of what we're doing. We're trying to get yeah, better functional mobility. We're trying to balance the body. Yeah, it's just a different approach, right?
Yeah, and which makes sense. So then speaking for your business and your approach, what's kind of your goal over the next 5 to 10 years with your business?
Yeah, so there's a few things. Yeah, I always kind of giggle at myself because I'm always, jumping out and trying to evolve things into all these different ideas and some are good, some are bad. Um, but I would say like one thing that I have been doing since about 2015, we do some travel Pilates
Okay.
with organizer. So, I wanna keep some of that going and then maybe run some of my own retreats. But, my travel organizer, we've done, trips to Italy, we've done, Tuscany, we've done the Amalfi Coast, we've done Spain and Portugal, and then we also do Costa Rica.
Okay.
So it's just like a travel experience, and then they have me on the trip. So I teach the Pilates classes, and then it's really free and open, and people can come to the classes if they want to or not. And, it's just it's a lot of fun. So, right, travel and Pilates is definitely on the agenda. We're doing another Costa Rica one, coming up in February. And, then if I was gonna do, like, a retreat idea, I'm probably gonna look at some places in Italy that would just keep it up more in, like, one spot, and then do, like, a week retreat, and then maybe stay for, like, an extra week just to have some personal time or something like that.
Now is Pilates something like I know with, like, yoga, you can do, like, your yoga certification over, like, a long time, or you can go away for, like, a yoga retreat for, like, 2 weeks, and you can just immerse yourself and come out of it with, like, your yoga, teaching certificate to teach a specific style of yoga. Is Pilates similar in that regard? Like, could you have a Pilates retreat where you're, like, certifying people to teach Pilates at the end of it, or is that a crazy idea?
Yeah, there could definitely be some training. So with Pilates, of course, there's, like, the mat repertoire. So some people are just solely trained to teach mat Pilates. And I guess it would be more difficult, for the apparatus because then you'd have to run a training, somewhere that has the equipment available. But yeah, that's totally a possibility. I usually don't recommend that people do short trainings for Pilates. Kinda like jumping into, like, just a weekend and then coming out of it and saying they're certified to teach mat or whatever it is they're doing. I'm just one of those sticklers for myself. I think that there's so much involved that you need to slow down the learning process a little bit and really get it in your body before you can just come on the other side of a training and say, "Hey, I'm a certified Pilates teacher."
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah, and I didn't know, that's why I was just asking, I wasn't sure how that went, if it was, so it is typically like a longer is it something that you go to, like, is it courses still, or is it like a college certificate thing, or how do you get certified to teach Pilates?
Yeah, so the company that I used to do some training for, they have everything broken down into modules. Back in the day when I first started doing my Pilates training, we didn't even have manuals. We were given pieces of paper and we had to like write notes and practice all the exercises. What I did, it was more of called like a comprehensive training where you would do like all of it
Mhm.
over a period of time, and they would usually recommend, like, a year at a minimum,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
to really understand it, but now I would say the way most people do it is they'll have, like, say if there's, like, level 1 for mat, then maybe someone might do that over a weekend workshop, and then they would get a certificate of completion saying that they are done training for their mat level 1. And then say if there's like a level 2 and a level 3, then they would have to do another couple weekends for those other ones, and then maybe write an exam just on mat, and then come out of that saying that they're now a certified mat Pilates instructor. Um, but yeah, like it takes a little bit of time, but I would say in general, like the way people are breaking it down for their trainings, it's just over like a weekend, like a Friday,
Mhm.
Saturday Sunday kind of idea. Yeah.
Mhm. Um, so for the last so many years, like, is it just you within the business, or do you have team members that are also, helping you with the business?
Yeah. So I have let's see, Crystal. So I have 3 girls that they've embarked on their Pilates training and then I'm mentoring them. And then I have a new girl that just started, so I could say, like, 4 in total that are gonna be in and out of this space teaching. Um, yeah, and a lot of these ladies, like, they still hold full-time jobs, so they're just kinda putting in hours where they can help out here and there for, like, evenings or weekends.
Mhm. And how long have they been with you then?
Couple of the girls, they actually started learning Pilates from me, probably like 12 to 15 years ago. And, but then as for them being instructors here in my space, I would say they've been with me for maybe actually somewhere at the old studio too, maybe up to 5 years.
Okay. Yep. So when COVID happened, then like what practical steps did you do to, you know, keep your ladies working and do that? Like how did you deal with all of that?
Yeah, I would say during that time it was just mostly, myself. And, yeah, we just had, the protocol that people had to do for coming in and wearing masks and all that kind of stuff. We had, pieces of paper that people had to fill out, a questionnaire saying they didn't have any symptoms and all that kind of stuff.
Nonsense. Yeah. Yeah. The nonsense that we had to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you made it through. Yeah.
We made it through. It feels like a long time ago, but also
Does now, doesn't it? Yeah.
life. Yeah, like I still definitely have some bitterness around that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think a lot of people do. And I mean, honestly, I think the ones it's kind of like what happened to them during COVID is like, right? The ones that I see that are still like super bitter about it are like they were greatly impacted by it. And I think we all were to some extent, but it's also like were we able to transition and shift and like I mean, we closed our studio down. We had a yoga and wellness studio. We couldn't remain open and so I saw that close and and on one hand, it actually helped me, process the fact that I was like, I really need to shut the construction company down. Paper money's losing power, but real money, it's been trusted for 5,000 years. When banks print, inflation steals, and markets shake, gold and silver stay solid. Don't wait for headlines, own what's real. Visit learnwealthcycles.com and start building freedom with physical silver and gold today. Like when I did 2 years ago, I was like, I just need to focus where I'm happier and I see things, there's so much more potential to do good in what I do now versus like construction. I have more clients in 2.5 years of doing this business than I ever had in 20 years doing construction, right? And I've cultivated really great relationships with people, um, just like I did with the concrete company. A lot of my original clients were concrete clients. I just told them, "This is what I'm doing. I'm making the shift. I'm gonna change and, I'm letting you know," and they were like, "Well, tell me more." So it was like it just turned into this big, yeah, transitional period, I suppose, right? And I'm really grateful for it that I had built such good relationships with people that when they knew that I was done, they kind of thought, "Well, hey, if he can shut a company down after 20 years to do something, then maybe we should at least open our ears a bit and listen to what he's doing because he had a successful thing. So it must be worth it if he's gonna shut that down and to do something different. So I'm really grateful for those early on people that listened because it really helped me grow and move into, what I'm doing and down, that's why I'm started the podcast because I wanted to actually extend again and be able to, help people. Kid helped me with that, right? I mean, that's how we met was you had heard me on the Kid Carson show, over a year ago and reached out and I just I'm grateful for the amount of people that I met from doing that show actually because they're just they followed him. They have like really good mindsets around health and wealth and just freedom and those kind of things. So we've established some really good, friendships and connections with people and I'm yeah, totally grateful for that part. And so that's why I really want to dig in again and do the show because I could help, you know, allow, give a platform like Kid gave to me to other people so that they can, share their story and hopefully touch more people in whatever it is that they do. And so I'm really yeah, it's fun how over, over a year how things can like shift and change so much so and like this week is so busy with interviews and lining things up for people so that I can launch the show properly, next week or whatever, right? And Yeah, I don't know, I'm just really, really glad I'm in a really good place in my life because of that, and this is just another way that I can hopefully give back to people.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just listening to you talk, I think too, like coming onto the other side of, with me having to downsize, like everything worked out perfect for me as well. Like my business ended up having better boundaries, which is a really strange thing to say. Like we had such huge boundaries put on us
Yeah.
as citizens. But then I also created stronger boundaries for how I wanted to operate as a small business person. And everything ended up working out in my favor. Like my business ended up faring better financially on the other side of all of this. And, yeah, even though there was all those negative things that happened, like, it turned into a positive. And then I was just kinda giggling in my head too because when, on social media and that little clip with you on the Kid Carson show, it's like those little things that just fly by your wire, and it's like, "Why am I seeing this?" And then it's like it's perking something in your mind, and you're like, "Okay, I need to pay attention to this." So, yeah, I'm so thankful for how everything has, meandered around into a way that, has made my life turn out to feel very positive.
Yeah. Well, and I think again, and that's kind of what I was trying to sum up before was it's like how we approach, the situations that are presented to us really, really will, allow the success or the failure to come out of a situation, right? Because like, yeah, shutting a business down or downsizing never seems to be fun or the right thing, and sometimes we can be so upset, but when you just look at it from, like, a 10,000-foot view of, like, what you can do within your business, and then, yeah, here it is, it's, like, something that would be perceived as, like, a terrible thing, you're like, "Well, actually, it's way better." But because you have that right attitude towards going through that and then not seeing it as a failure or a reason to slow down, you're like, "Well, actually, if I just pivot, I can add more, you know, to my life." And that was kinda where I was, asking, like, what's next for you within your business, or is it just, like, not just, but is the idea to continue down some of the same, daily routines and add some classes and do the same stuff for the next few years, or do you have some different dreams to expand again or something?
Well, I think, part of bringing people back together, that was really interesting because I never thought that I would embark on teaching groups again. I just thought I was done that part of my life. But literally, I woke up on a Saturday morning and I just had this strong feeling that the community, kind of needs this on a whole. Like people need to come back together again.
Yeah.
So I just threw the idea out to the owner of the dance studio and it just kind of snowballed from there. So I do like that idea of still working on building community relationships and bringing my classes to like this community that I live in, or doing the traveling idea and bringing people together that way. And then the other thing, I've been working with a business coach and coming up with an idea of how to have a little bit more of an online presence as well. I to help mentor and coach instructors that have already gone through Pilates instructor training, that they're still trying to navigate that whole industry because I think there's a lot of really good trainings, and I think there's a lot of really bad trainings. And I just feel like there's a lot just with my experience and how long I've been teaching that I can really help build some, solid instructors out there with just offering more mentoring. So then, my thoughts are if I can be a little bit more online, then I can also get away from having to be in person like all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
how do you better balance? Yeah.
And I mean, that's the other thing that came out of COVID in a positive way was this, right? Like the Zoom and the online space really expanded and grew and people are used to it. I mean, I still would prefer to be in person for stuff. To an extent, and I say that because it's like, I went through this with our office, because we have a physical location. Most everybody that's at the office is, like, all about in-person meetings in the boardroom or in the office, and I was looking at it like, "Well, how can I expand?" Well, I need to get outside of my hometown in central Alberta where I live because, I mean, there's only 5 of us that really work there. I mean, that are doing, like, helping clients, and we're all in central Alberta. So then it's like, well, now we're all competing for the same types of clients and market space, and I was like, "Well, if I go online," which I like, "and I can get, in touch with people across the country, well, then if I set that up from the beginning where it's normal and people aren't put off by it, because typically in the financial space, right, people want to be in an office with you, and I'm kind of like, well, why? And my local clients want to see me in person because that's how they've established it. And I'm getting more and more where I'm like, no, meet me on Zoom. Like, why would you drive in from 40 minutes away to meet me at the office when we could just meet, on Zoom? And a few of them during winter time, right? Roads are bad. "Oh, roads are bad." I was like, "So you're saying you wanna go online now, are you?" And they're like, "Could we do it online?" I'm like, "Yes, we could. I'd be thrilled because I was only driving to the office to meet you tomorrow. So, yes, I would love to set up Zoom and do our call on Zoom instead." And then they're like, "That was actually great, and we didn't have to put pants on or whatever," right? And it was just, like, kind of funny. And then like, yeah, I've just expanded huge across the country now being online. The podcast really helped with that with Kid, and some other, then just introductions to new people. And because now everybody is used to seeing it online, I actually I really push back when I have to go be in person because it's like it's more of a disruption to the day almost, right? Where I'm like, I have to leave the house, I have to jump in a car, I have to, pretty soon for us, scrape the windows, all that kind of stuff and drive through the snow. Um, and I had said that to the owner because he was like, "You should get an office." And I was like, "I have 2 offices, I have one in the house and I have one in my old shop office, but they're not meet client type offices." But I'm like, "I don't need to." I said, "When's the last time we did a physical pickup?" I mean, I have some, right, still, obviously, but it's like most of mine are being shipped across the country or we're doing them, like we did for your account. And it's just, online, like through an RSP, or a Lyra, and so we don't have to be anywhere to meet. It's all done online and then stored and shipped, and so that's been really good, and then having Debbie part of the team and, doing the setups for me and that kind of stuff, she's busier. She actually launched a virtual assistant business, right? So she can add a little bit more. So she's doing a ton of VA work for some other, friends and stuff of hers, and so that part's pretty cool to see her, like, kind of growing and expanding, and she never thought about it until she did the work with me, and then she was like, "Well, actually, I could maybe do this for somebody else and then just be busier, and then I don't have to deal with, you know, waiting on somebody to tell me when I can be employed or whatever. She can just carve her own path." So I think moving something online for you would be huge because then you can, yeah, help more people. Now the distance doesn't matter, so now you're not having to be somewhere specifically. You could work from anywhere, which is a bonus, and really add into that. So that's exciting. Do you have when do you plan to launch it?
Well, I always kept a couple of online classes, since the pandemic. So I do have some clients that just do one-on-one sessions online. And then I have some clients that I sold a bunch of the apparatus to. So I still teach an online reformer class for them. And, then I also had, like an online mobility class, but those were just, like, more general, but yeah, this whole other idea, it's more niche that, it'll be for just instructors, that want some extra help with really feeling solid as a teacher, so yeah, it's kind of slow going because 'cause I'm so busy, but, yeah, I'd like to have more of a handle on that, like, within the next month or 2.
Cool. That's awesome, just to launch something, so having a date for the launch is kinda critical because then you can actually, like, move it move it forward, right? Like, too many people I find, they have these great ideas, and I've done that in the past too, where I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna" I'm working on it, and then it's like, "Well, when's it gonna be done?" "Well, when I get around to getting it done," and then it's like, "Well, if you can just create a date." I've done that a few times where I've just put something out there and put it up online and been like, "Hey, I'm launching this, get in for the pre-order," or whatever, right? And then it's like, "Okay, now I've got somebody interested, now I have to actually get it done and move ahead and go do it." I mean, I even did it with the podcast. I've been tossing this idea around for, like, honestly, it's probably a year that I would do it, right? And then finally I was like, "Hey, I'm just doing this." And so I just said, "Hey, I'm launching this podcast," and then I got a ton of great feedback, right? Like, "Oh, let us know when you share it." And I've got a client that's been like I put a couple posts out on my story, but he was, like, texting me names, right? And then he just was, like, blowing my phone up with all these different names for the podcast, right? And I just laughed. I was like so I shared, I was like, "No, this is" I said, "Oh, he's really wanting me to, get this show started and share me all these names." It was quite good. Um Being in a business owner though, and, like, doing this stuff, and obviously you have pressures for life and, like, your family and then balancing work and stuff like that. What kind of a habit or schedule do you keep to, protect yourself? Because you said that you used to, you set some good boundaries, and so what changed for you that you're able to do that?
Um, yeah, so just, being more mindful of how I put my schedule together and how many hours that I will work out of a day. So now I'm making sure I definitely have a hard stop, to be able to get home and, do meals or, things like that. I generally take Fridays off and the whole week. So my hard, busy days are just Monday to Thursday, really. So yeah, just little things like that. But my son, he's older now. He's 20, so I don't have, that much work to do on that end, but it was just more also as a personal thing to make sure that I don't burn myself out.
Right. Yeah, and one, having a weekday and then a couple days on the weekend to get other things done really adds in. I mean, I'm bad for that. I work pretty much 7 days a week, but I don't at the same time, though, I if I want to go do something that's booked and I'm gone. Like I was in Vancouver a couple weeks ago. I took one of my girls for a concert there. So I just, I didn't tell anybody really that I was gone. I just wasn't available. Right. So it was like, and we went and it was like really nice to just go, me and her, and just kind of connect and, take her to, it was her first concert ever, and getting to be there for that. And we had floor seats. So we were like right at the stage, and she was just it was nuts. She had such a good time. Um, and yeah, to wander around and I mean, yeah, be back in Vancouver where I've been there so many times the last year, like for different events and back with kid and all this stuff. I think I was in Vancouver 5 5 times in the last year, maybe 6. And so just to go there and then like kind of know where everything was because I stayed at the same hotel I've stayed at a few times. And so I kind of know where the good little spots are around there. And so just to take her and like navigate through everything and just give her a really good experience and time was a lot of fun. Other than like the day of the concert, we like had time to kill, and so we went to this museum at the university, and it was like pouring rain, and we got dropped off at the by the Uber, and it was like we had to walk like 3 blocks, and so we were just like drenched. We had shirts on, like I didn't bring a jacket, but we're like walking around this museum and just like back and forth, checking out all these things, and then to stand the whole night at the concert. Like the next day, my legs were wrecked. I was like, oh no, like I was my feet up the wall, stuff like that. And then we're at the airport, and she's like motoring because she's just walks. I was like, "Slow down, my legs are sore, I can't." She's like, "Come on, get it together, dad." That kind of thing. It was funny. Yeah. I've been asking all my guests, do you like to read?
Yeah.
What are 2 of your favorite books that you've read in your life?
Oh gosh, that's That's a funny question because I just love so many books. I'm just one of those information junkie type people, so I'm always learning. Like, right now I'm actually reading the Book of Enoch.
Okay. Alright. Okay. Yeah. I know that. Yeah. Yeah. And how do you like that so far?
Well, it's actually very interesting. I didn't realize it was one of the books of the Bible that had been removed.
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it totally makes sense, like all the things that it talks about.
Mhm. Yeah, that's been a big thing that I've discussed a lot lately is actually like in I mean, the Bible for Christianity, and just like the history and, I believe in God because that's just I believe in God through the Christian light and Jesus because of what I've been taught. And then learning and feeling, the feelings that I get when I pray to him versus just like the universe, right? I feel very different. And that's again my energy towards it, I feel, but I also see signs. Like I have a really hard time with anybody that doesn't believe in something bigger than us, right? I also have a hard time thinking that what somebody else believes is supreme versus what I believe is supreme. I'm kinda like, they're probably the same thing, we just call them something different, where that often gets, like, religious leaders like, "You're going to hell," I'm like, I'm not dismissing God, I'm just saying that maybe they believe the same thing we do, they're just calling it something different, right? It's not that they're worshiping a different God, they're just worshiping a different human explanation of what that is, and, um, when I look around at, like, nature, it's perfect. The only time you see anything not perfect in nature, it's been impacted by humanity. Right? Trees that are growing weird. Oh, power lines. Go figure, right? Like, and so when you get down to it, you just see like the animals and the bugs and just everything working together in nature as it's meant to be. It's just it blows my mind. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised that certain books have been removed because they don't align with the story that's being used to control the masses of people. And that's where I really see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, like, coming around to that too of believing in something bigger than what we are, that was kind of the reason why I started my business and called it the Mindful Life Studio because, connecting with your body, being in your body, being in your life, it was kind of like my way of helping people just be more aware that there is more to the story than what we see on the outside of ourselves.
Yeah, which is amazing. And so where would people find you if they want to learn more about Pilates and learn more about Pam? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the website is mindfullifestudio.com, and, then I wouldn't say that I'm overly active on socials right now, but I am on Instagram at, Mindful Life Pilates and also on Facebook as Mindful Life Studio. Um, I am into my next venture of doing more online work. I am going to work on having more of a social presence on probably more Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that was always a request from a lot of people. So especially when we've done our trips, and I'm teaching people my expression of Pilates, which is a very mindful expression. They'll say, "How can I, do these exercises and really, get them in my body?" So I always wanted to start a YouTube channel to have people go to be able to find the exercises.
Right. So that's what's next.
That's what's
Yeah.
next. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super cool. And Pam, it was awesome pleasure talking to you and actually getting to know you a little bit more today and have you on the show. I learned a lot more about you and what you do and why it's so important. So thank you for sharing that with me and my audience. And I look forward to seeing you expand online in the coming year.
Great. Thanks so much,
Mm.
Luke. It was fun. time
Thank you.
flies.
Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah. Well, thank you and have a really great rest of your week.
Thank you.
When a system shakes, paper wealth disappears overnight. But real wealth, it doesn't flinch. Gold and silver have outlasted every currency ever printed. The question isn't if this next storm comes, it's what will you do when it does. Visit learnwealthcycles.com. You too can own what's real.